It's January, New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you. And we've got the primary coming up in June. Do you think that from talking to people that maybe people are a little more focused now about the race now that it's 2012 and June doesn't seem that far away?
Definitely. There's a definite spike on our website at Senate2012.com. People coming in to look at our issues and our principles that we're running on. And so that's been real helpful. We've got a number of things that are going on. We have a team. We have Ken Crow from the American Tea Party that'll be coming in to run our ground game. He's used to working with people at the ground level. We have
And other national candidates in other national races.
Right,
Mr. Crow. Okay.
right. So we've got a number of opportunities here in New Mexico. We've written a number of op-ed pieces and editorials, opinion pieces, things like that. So,
Okay, so you're in a three-way race with Heather Wilson, John Sanchez, and yourself. How do you break through in that situation, especially since the early polls are showing Heather's got a big lead, but more importantly, she's got a big money lead. What do you do to break through?
well, we're in the process of lining up national groups that are going to be supportive of a conservative candidate. And also, people need to realize that just because you win the primary doesn't mean that you're going to win the general. There's, as mentioned, there's TARP vote, which just doesn't sell well with the 99% group or the Occupy group. And that's going to be a real factor. And it's kind of an Achilles heel that Heather has.
And also, do you think that you might be able to drive some Republican votes to your side by your own platform?
Well, sure. That's the whole point. Is I am conservative. I'm not a convenient conservative. I've been a conservative for a number of years. Just because it's now the political season for conservatives, that's not why I'm a conservative. And I believe that people can see that. And in contrasting the candidates, they can see if they'll go to both websites. They can go to their websites and they can go to my website, and they can see the difference in the issues that we talk about, the programs that we're putting forward, and how I view our problems in America. It's not just kind of a bunch of feel-good, schmoozy kind of stuff.
But if Heather's not a real conservative, then why is she getting support from a lot of people like Pete Domenici?
Well, I think Pete Domenici's always been in her corner. I think, wasn't Pete the one that introduced her to New Mexico in the first place? Basically, she's from the East Coast, and she came to New Mexico to work for Pete Domenici. And so that's kind of the relationship there. And then she's been in Washington for 10 of those years. So this isn't her base. New Mexico isn't her base. And there's a number of conservative Democrats and the independents that will be interested in a party that isn't just part of the old status quo career politician type mentality. They understand that if we're going to change Washington, we're going to have to change the kind of people we send to Washington. And the only way to do that is to vote for someone who isn't a career politician.
Okay, let's say that you're able to attract some people who say, okay, I want a real conservative. Then you get through to the primary, then you get to the general election. Will a real conservative have trouble against someone like Martin Heinrich?
65% of New Mexicans identify themselves as conservative. Conservative principles are something that we've all used to raise our family and run our businesses. So they're not foreign to any successful person. And conservative principles are also something that we would like our children to adopt in their own lives, because it's a real philosophy. It's something that you can take to the bank, so to speak, and better your life and the life of your children and family.
And you don't shy away from the fact that you embrace being a social conservative.
No, I'm many of the Hispanic population here in New Mexico are social conservatives, and they appreciate families. I have 6 children and 18 grandchildren, so I understand what it's like to have family and live around family, and I appreciate it. And many of the Hispanic families appreciate that also.
Do you think, though, that in this particular year that economic issues trump social issues?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I've been for cutting spending at the federal level for a long time. The thing is that we're at a point now where we're going to have to actually make some cuts. And it's very important that we don't make those cuts where they're going to destroy people's lives. We need to be able to make cuts and over a slow period of time and allow the state of New Mexico to pick up the slack in many instances from things that the federal government shouldn't have been involved in the first place, constitutionally. I believe that the Constitution is an inspired document, and we must bind the federal government with the Constitution, or else it's a government out of control as it is today. So that's what we need to do.
What are your plans for promoting job growth?
Well, I think whenever we start to alleviate unnecessary regulations, that job growth begins to happen. When the ability to create jobs and not have to pay an exorbitant amount of taxes for those regulations or hidden costs because of those regulations, that those jobs are going to be created. Whenever you take the inheritance tax away, then you allow families to actually build up generational wealth. Whenever you destroy their wealth with the death of the patriarch or whatever, then they lose the business and they go right back out on the street. So we've got to do away with the inheritance tax, for one thing. And I think a fair tax system allows people to know what they're banking with. You know, very few people want to risk capital if they don't have a clear picture as to what they're investing in. And with regulations, Obama has involved himself in 40,000 different regulations, more regulations since he's come on board.
Okay. Last question for you. In order to break through, to get your name out there, to be considered someone who's got a legitimate shot at this, do you feel you need to get some endorsements from some big name people, or what's the strategy?
Well, the strategy is to continue with our campaign, and eventually then be able to have those big name endorsements. It takes a lot of groundwork first. I'm a person that's coming from the private sector, a businessman, and so I haven't jockeyed and jived for that name recognition and et cetera. So, and we're kind of conditioned to vote for the name we know, regardless of what we know about it or whether we care about what we know about it. So that's.
Do you think that getting a debate with all three candidates might give you a chance to get your message out to a wider audience?
Oh, absolutely. Particularly a well-attended debate and one that was broadcast and et cetera. The problem is that people that have tried to hold debates in the past, one or two of the candidates have been unwilling to show up, and because of that, then they cancel the debate rather than go ahead and hold the debate with the candidates that are willing to show up. And so there's no pressure brought to bear for those that are just trying to duck out and wait till the primary to be over.
Do you think Heather's ducking you?
I would have to think, if she's not willing to debate, and she hasn't signed up for any of the debates so far, so apparently she must be.
Are there any debates being discussed or on schedule?
There's been a number of them over the past several months they've tried to bring to fruition that haven't happened. Right. So those are things that you don't hear about because they canceled them because they didn't get the candidates to come.
All right. Greg Sowards, thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Thank you, Rob.